Listen here, Hollywood's messed up in a really
here
in a serious way.
This concept of doing things the new way, where it's effortless and easy doesn't equal lazy.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure this memo has not gotten to any of the decision makers in the entertainment industry. So if you could just clear your calendar and you could talk to all of those that make the schedules and the budgets and manage the sets and manage the productions, that would be terrific. Because right now, the prevailing notion amongst all organized labor, even beyond the entertainment industry, is in order to meet these demands, we just have to work longer and harder.
Listen here, Hollywood's messed up in a really
here
in a serious way. And I've sort of lived it, close now to the industry for the last few years, and I've worked in industries all over the world, and I don't really think there's any major industry I haven't worked in. Hollywood is different than all of them. And there's a few things, I haven't quite wrestled it down to like why I think it is so toxic. Yeah.
Toxic is saying it lightly, but yes, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like among things I have observed, as a rule, people do not read. It's not totally true, but it's pretty close to being true. So you have people who are creating content, but they aren't necessarily, agents who aren't reading any content. You've got producers who didn't read the original books that the ideas were based on. It's like if you remove reading out of an industry, then you're going to make them especially, dependent on FOMO, because you just start looking at what everyone else is doing and okay, well, I guess you have to do it their way. There's no foundational understanding. You can go read and understand how to be successful based on the best thinking in Western literature, let's say, or just best practices. Or let's take management, leadership. People aren't reading leadership books. They're not going to training. Most of the Hollywood companies that I've worked with don't even do outside, bringing in people from the outside, training and developing culture and so on. So it's a very strange craft where you have this masses of people. There's a supply of people who want to be in the entertainment industry, and it's so vast, the supply compared to the actual space for them, that people are willing to do anything to get in. They're willing to put up with any sorts of practices within the industry, and anyway, we could go on what makes this perfect storm exist, but I think adds to this sense of like, well, if I've got 1,000 people down the road who are willing to do this job under any circumstances all night long, not being paid, hardly being paid, then you complain, fine, off you go. You can leave LA, you can leave this monster of an industry. I'll just get the next person. And so there are these dynamics underneath it. We have a massive turnover, right? The turnover of talent, not just of actors and so on, but also of professionals within the industry that just can't make it. Now that I'm still riffing here, one more thing that I think is strange, but doesn't explain it all, but doesn't help, is the idea that no one gets paid until everyone gets paid. Means that people don't feel they have they don't have the stability financially to be able to say, hey, listen, sure, I'll come and I'll work on this project and I'll take my time to make sure that I'm doing it well. It's all just like, I'm only going to do anything that I think will actually get the deal done. And so that's not the healthiest view. Anyway, there you go. I'm riffing on this. I'm not sure I'm being very helpful, but
and you're being the opposite. You are being immensely helpful and really bringing some clarity to everything that is wrong, because you are on the outside. The vast majority of people that I talk to about our industry issues are on the inside, and sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. And you're coming with a tremendous amount of perspective, understanding cultures in other industries, and the problem is the culture. It's basically this toxic culture of exploitation. And if you were to ask just about anybody, now I've spoken to hundreds of people about this, but if you ask any craftsperson at any level, they all say the same thing. I put up with it because I know that if I don't, I will be replaced tomorrow. Every single person is replaceable, from the PA to the director to the producer to the studio executives. Even they go through a constant revolving door. And I think that one of the biggest issues that I've seen that you just hit on perfectly, that I've been screaming from the rooftops for years, is there is no such thing as leadership training. Basically, you fail your way upwards, and as long as you survive more than everybody else, you get to the top. If you're willing to put up with more shit, then you get promoted because the other people aren't willing to put up with it, and you think this is the way that it works, and that's how the new people are going to come up. So it's created this entire generation of thinking, if you don't pay your dues and you don't give me 90 hours a week and you're not willing to work for exposure bucks, well, too bad, because that's how it was for me and that's how it needs to be for you. And I think one of the biggest issues is all summarized in one quote: this is just the way that it is.